Hi, welcome to our channel. Have you been keeping an eye on the news lately? If so, you've likely heard about the ongoing decline of the US dollar, a topic that's been making headlines around the world. As the world reserve currency, the US dollar has long been considered the gold standard of global finance. However, recent events have triggered doubts about its dominance, with some experts suggesting that its status as the world's reserve currency could be in jeopardy. So what's behind this decline, and why are the BRICS countries posing such a threat to the hegemony of the US dollar? Stick around, because in today's video, we'll be exploring these questions and more. To understand the decline of the US dollar, we must first examine its history. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since the end of World War II, when the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the standard for international trade. But what is a reserve currency, you may ask? A reserve currency is a currency that is widely accepted and held in significant quantities by governments, central banks, and other financial institutions as part of their foreign exchange reserves. They are used as a means of international payment and as a store of value. The history of reserve currencies can be traced back to the 15th century, when the Spanish real became the first global reserve currency due to the Spanish Empire's dominance in global trade. The Dutch guilder became the next reserve currency in the 17th century, followed by the French franc in the 18th century. Due to the British Empire's global influence and the pound's ability to be converted into gold in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the British pound sterling rose to prominence as a reserve currency. The pound remained the primary reserve currency until the outbreak of World War II, during which the British government was forced to suspend convertibility of the pound to gold. After the war, the United States emerged as a dominant economic power, and the US dollar became the primary reserve currency due to the country's massive economic and military influence. In 1944, the Bretton Woods system was established, which made the US dollar the world's reserve currency and pegged it to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. The Bretton Woods system collapsed in the early 1970s as the US government was unable to maintain the fixed exchange rate due to the high inflation and the cost of the Vietnam War. Yet, because of the United States' economic primacy and might, the dollar has continued to be the world's preeminent reserve currency ever since. Currently, the prominence of the US dollar in the global economy is being challenged as major countries are reaching agreements to trade in their own currencies instead of using the US dollar. The BRICS nations have been actively working to lessen their dependency on the US currency in international commerce and transactions as part of this worldwide trend. BRICS is a group of 5 major emerging economies consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries have emerged as crucial players in the world economy, collectively contributing a substantial portion to the global gross domestic product and international trade. One of the main goals of BRICS is to reduce their dependence on the US dollar and increase the use of their own currencies in international trade. To achieve this, they have established several initiatives, such as the BRICS New Development Bank and the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, which aims to promote the use of their own currencies in cross-border transactions and reduce the reliance on the US dollar. One of the main subjects on the agenda for the upcoming BRICS Summit in South Africa, scheduled for August 2023, is to establish a mechanism for member countries to settle trade using their respective national currencies. Now, let's take a closer look at certain actions taken by the BRICS nations that pose a challenge to the dollar's hegemony. The government of Brazil, which is the biggest economy in Latin America, recently disclosed an arrangement with China to conduct their extensive trade directly with each other's currencies. Last year, China and Brazil engaged in an unprecedented $150.5 billion in two-way trade. Previously, Brazil was compelled to convert its purchases and trades to US dollars before transactions with China could occur, primarily due to the US's status as the global economic power. However, this is no longer the case. Brazil now plans to interact directly with China without the use of the dollar, like many other nations do. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula, in a speech delivered to Shanghai in April 2023 as part of an official visit to China, urged BRICS countries to create their own currency for trade. This call comes as China increasingly seeks to strengthen the role of its currency in the global financial system. As a main member of BRICS, China has been actively promoting the de-dollarization of the global economy. China has taken several concrete measures to reduce its reliance on US dollars and increase the use of its currency, the yuan, in global transactions. China has signed several currency swap agreements with other countries, including Brazil, Russia, and Australia, which enable them to trade in their respective currencies rather than using US dollars. Additionally, China has been purchasing gold as a way to diversify its foreign exchange reserves away from US dollars. Furthermore, China has been advocating for the use of its currency in institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, encouraging other nations to adopt it. The yuan's credibility in international commerce and finance has increased since its inclusion in the IMF's basket of reserve currencies in 2015, which has led to growing acceptance and adoption of the yuan in global trade and financial transactions. Overall, China's efforts to reduce the use of US dollars in global transactions are a part of its broader goal of increasing its influence on the global economic and financial system. While the yuan is not yet a major global reserve currency, China's measures suggest that it is actively working toward that goal. As the world's second-largest economy, China's push for a de-dollarization has significant implications for the global financial system. It decreases the dominance of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, reduces its demand, and could potentially lead to a shift in the balance of power in the global economy. In response to the 2022 invasion of Ukraine and subsequent sanctions imposed on Russia, the country has been actively pushing de-dollarization of its economy. One of the steps taken by Russia is to sell off US Treasury bonds, which has been viewed as an effort to diversify its foreign exchange reserves and reduce exposure to the US dollar. Another measure taken by Russia is to reduce its dependence on the US dollar in various sectors, as it has signed bilateral agreements with China, India, Turkey, and other countries to use their national currencies in trade settlements, bypassing the need for US dollars. By decreasing its reliance on the US dollar and promoting the use of other currencies, Russia hopes to decrease its vulnerability to US sanctions. It is important to keep in mind that international sanctions, including those against Russia and Iran, may indirectly affect the dominance of the US dollar, as affected countries explore alternative currencies for international trade. Thus, sanctions have the potential to impact the dominance of the US dollar. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has recently warned that financial sanctions tied to the role of the dollar could gradually undermine its hegemony over time. Another country we need to talk about is Saudi Arabia. Despite not being a BRICS member country, Saudi Arabia has recently shown interest in becoming part of the bloc. Traditionally, Saudi Arabia, one of the world's leading oil producers, has priced its oil exports in US dollars, which has helped to maintain the US dollar's dominant role in global trade. However, in recent years, there have been a growing push within the country to move away from this agreement and diversify its currency options. One reason behind this shift is the ongoing tensions between Saudi Arabia and the United States, which have been exacerbated by the United States' changing energy landscape and its reduced reliance on Saudi oil. As the United States has become more self-sufficient in energy, Saudi Arabia has been looking to diversify its customer base and reduce its dependence on the US market. Another significant factor has been the growing economic and political ties between Saudi Arabia and China. China has been investing heavily in Saudi Arabia's oil industry in recent years, and there has been a corresponding push toward pricing oil exports in Chinese yuan rather than US dollars. At the end of 2022, Saudi Arabia hinted at the possibility of accepting Chinese yuan instead of US dollars for its oil sales to China. Although no official declaration was made, there are indications that the two countries will gradually shift toward using the Chinese yuan as the currency for their trade. Saudi Arabia has been a long-standing ally of the United States and has maintained a peg to the US dollar for many years, with the US being one of Saudi Arabia's largest trading partners and a major market for its oil exports. Therefore, any move by Saudi Arabia to reduce the use of US dollars would be a severe blow to the US currency. The growing number of agreements among countries to trade with currencies other than the dollar is contributing to the reduction in global dollar reserves. This decline raises concerns about the long-term future of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Although there is currently no evidence to suggest that other currencies could replace the dollar in the short term, certain factors could threaten its position in the future. One such factor is the potential for China's economy to surpass that of the US, which could enable China to promote the yuan as the reserve currency. Despite China's efforts to promote the yuan and increasing global trend toward diversifying monetary reserves, the US dollar continues to dominate the majority of worldwide transactions and is unlikely to lose its leadership position anytime soon. Although agreements with nations such as Saudi Arabia and Brazil are enhancing the yuan's influence and posing a risk to the dollar's dominance, it is very likely that the US dollar will continue to function as the reserve currency for the next few years. It should be mentioned that the United States is still regarded as one of the most stable nations in the world, which renders false and unrealistic reports of an impending dollar collapse. This video has come to an end. We hope you enjoyed it. We would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you think BRICS will be a major threat to the dollar and US economy? Will the dollar remain the strongest and most reliable currency in the world in the next few years? Feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our latest videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.